This puts the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial to shame. That was wild, but this is next level crazy. Every day there's something new, and I love it. Hello, my friend. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and your number one source for everything. It ends with us saga. Today was the busiest day we have had in weeks. And boy, did things end with a bang. The van scamming actress is very upset at Justin Baldoni's crisis PR manager, Melissa Nathan. So, the word saladista has gone and done what she does so well. Complain to her new bestie, Judge Lyman. In a just filed motion, the toothless ball buster says, quote, Plaintiff Blake Lively writes to respectfully request that the court compel defendant, the agency group, defendant Melissa Nathan's self-proclaimed reputation management company, to de-designate as confidential and attorney's eyes only, tags June 25th, second supplemental responses and objections to Miss Lively's first set of interrogatories. Did I pronounce it right this time? I can never pronounce interrogatories. I think I got it. Did I get it? Specifically, this is in relation to identifying individuals and media outlets with whom TAG communicated about Miss Lively and topics related to this lawsuit. Their motion argues this information does not constitute trade secrets under the party's protective order, as TAG claims, and the designations are thus improper. The court should not permit TAG to manipulate the discovery process to perpetuate the same harms that got it sued in the first place. Doesn't seem to me like Melissa Nathan and her company are manipulating anything. The judge set forth rules and they are playing by the rules of the court. They can do this, so they have. Unless the judge says they can't. We know what the judge is going to say. The motion continues. A core component of Miss Lively's claims center on the defendants and cross-complainants Wayfarer Studios LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, It Ends With Us Movie LLC, Melissa Nathan, TAG, Jennifer Abel, and Steve Sorowitz's digital smear campaign, which sought to manipulate the media landscape using untraceable sources to paint Miss Lively as the aggressor instead of the victim. Seemingly unable to abandon this playbook, TAG's interrogatory responses yet again attempt to bend reality to the Wayfarer party's ends. And they included this footnote that says, the Wayfarer parties have employed tactics frequently relied upon by individuals accused of sexual misconduct to recast the abused as the abuser. And they cited those briefs that were filed on her behalf by all of those nonprofits and women's rights groups. The motion continues, saying that Litigious Lively was seeking from the agency group the identities of online personalities or content creators and others with whom TAG communicated about Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, the CRD complaint, the actions, or the Lively Reynolds companies, as defined in the interrogatories. Specifically, interrogatory number 5 asked TAG to identify all content creators with whom you have communicated in any manner concerning Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, the CRD complaint, the actions, the Lively Reynolds companies, or the digital campaign from May 1st, 2024 to the present. They also asked the same of the other Wayfarer parties, and then after TAG was ordered to respond, they identified a number of individuals who have spoken publicly about Miss Lively and this lawsuit, apparently at the behest of Tag and the other Wayfarer defendants. She is really convinced that content creators who are critical of her are just puppets for Justin Baldoni and this smear campaign. The A-lister, in her own mind, still refuses to look in a mirror or take any accountability. I love to see it, actually, because it's not helping her. None of this helps her at all. Their motion continues. Despite the factual nature of this information, Tag unilaterally designated its responses as confidential and attorney's eyes only, thus obscuring Tag as the source of this information and allowing the Wayfarer defendants to once again recast Miss Lively as the aggressor in pursuing subsequent discovery, which is exactly what has transpired. 'Cause she is. She is literally seeking information from Google about some YouTube creators that have minuscule followings. Multiple accounts that at the time of her request had less than 1,000 subscribers. And we found out this week she also went to Elon Musk's platform to try and get information there too. She wants privacy for her financial information, but not for these creators. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And her hypocrisy, a recurring theme for La Hipócrita Rubia, is outstanding. This peak hypocrisy is yet another reason why people can't stand her. The shampoo company owner is complaining about Tag and Melissa Nathan designating some things as attorney's eyes only and asking for protective orders, and yet she's done the same repeatedly for numerous things, including Taylor Swift. The motion filed today continues. During meet and confer discussions, Tag's counsel primarily claimed that its interrogatory responses constituted trade secrets, which, if disclosed, could somehow harm Tag's business. Not so. The protective order limits confidentiality and AEO designations to non-public material, the public disclosure of which will cause harm to the business, commercial, financial, or personal interests of the producing person and or third party to whom a duty of confidentiality is owed. Thanks for quoting that, because everything applies here. Miss Nathan and her company could be harmed in many ways if this information is not protected. Her lawyers still have access to it. And if Melissa Nathan all of a sudden no longer has contacts that are willing to work with her because she did not protect them like she should, that's going to hurt her business, right? Thankfully, we've seen not just Melissa Nathan do right by those that she does business with, but recently also Meta and Pinterest fight back against her co-conspirator, Stephanie Jones, the fired former publicist of Justin Baldoni. Their motion crying to lying Lyman continues, saying the protective order further limits AEO designations to confidential discovery material of such a highly confidential and personal, sensitive, or proprietary nature that the revelation of such is highly likely to cause a significant competitive, business, commercial, financial, or privacy injury to the producing party. I think that's valid, and it can. And While trade secrets can be designated as confidential and AEO, those protections are diminished for confidential strategies and other information related to the parties to this litigation. TAG's counsel has provided no facts to support their assertion that the identity of third parties could somehow constitute trade secrets. Nor can they explain how this information could be so sensitive as to cause harm to TAG, especially where many of these individuals have already spoken publicly about Miss Lively and this case. Indeed, the information TAG has designated as confidential and AEO all relates to TAG's work for the Wayfarer parties themselves. TAG's confidential and AEO designations are therefore plainly improper, and the court should order TAG to de-designate them. But wait, this is the craziest part of all. For now, this motion. Quote, moreover, these misdesignations are having very real impacts. For example, if Miss Lively issues subpoenas related to individuals identified in TAG's interrogatory responses to marshal evidence about their involvement in the smear campaign, she will be hindered in her ability to meet and confer or respond to questions, and will be unable to explain to such subpoenaed parties that the discovery directed towards them is based in part on the fact that TAG identified them. Oh, please! Multiple creators that were the subjects of this subpoena served to Google independently called her lawyers and emailed her lawyers, and you know what they did? Many of them got no responses. So don't try to be all, I'm for transparency when you're not. Liar! But they don't tell the judge that. No, what they tell Lyman is content creators who have been the subject of discovery have already painted Miss Lively as the aggressor in this lawsuit, which she is, and have drawn a false equivalency between her discovery efforts and the Wayfarer party's alleged smear campaign. Why are you using the word alleged now? Stand by it. And also, we are very well aware of Subpoena Serena's sham tactics. Okay, Van Zandt Queen? I'm doing a good job of not getting too angry, because this is... They even take it a step further, saying one subpoenaed content creator even went so far as to record a call with a receptionist from Miss Lively's attorney's office without express consent and then posted the recording on YouTube. They included a footnote which says, recording confidential communications without the consent of all parties is a crime in California, where the receptionist is based. Fuck. That seems like a threat to me. Does that seem like a threat to you? And it would be very on brand for the garden variety actress. But no, I do not wish that the self-proclaimed Native American of Cherokee descent sues any content creator. Don't do that. Ew. She's already making the lives of so many content creators difficult and expensive, responding to her ridiculous requests, her unnecessary and disproportionate requests. People were creating content about not liking her in 2023. As I've told you, when she was first cast, negative feedback. When people first saw pictures of her as her character in the movie, more negative content created. Are you going to subpoena those people too? But But back to this one content creator who called up the law office and talked to the receptionist. Today's motion says this content creator further used the recording, which he uploaded to YouTube, to make false, inflammatory remarks about Miss Lively and her counsel, and is seeking to fundraise based on the recording and his remarks. The bottom line is that the concern about being hamstrung in being able to tie her discovery to the Wayfarer Party's discovery responses further exacerbates public backlash against Miss Lively, which she should not have to endure when there is no conceivable privacy interest that TAG and others are protecting. Your Honor, you smart, capable, qualified, sexy, sultry, very macho man. I'm sure that's what they want him to believe. History, they write, is now at risk of repeating itself. Because of TAG's misdesignated interrogatory responses, Miss Lively is yet again being forced to battle an untraceable campaign, unable to defend herself against misinformation online. While TAG may have been able to obscure its contacts in connection with the initial smear campaign, it cannot do so here. For these reasons, Miss Lively asks the court to compel TAG to de-designate its interrogatory responses as confidential and attorney's eyes only under the party's protective order, and make clear that any similar confidential and AEO designations the other Wayfarer parties may seek to use in connection with the interrogatory responses due today would likewise be improper. XOXO, Gossip Girl. I said that. Thank God I just had coffee, because otherwise this would be even more draining than all of the other caca continually flung at us from her. Okay. Thoughts, my fam? Let's discuss everything in the comments section.